Before you ask me where I've been, let me tell you, don't open that door. My light is there. That I've been saving Hyrule. I've got about 200 hours into the new Legend of Zelda game. And at hour like 130, like at hour like maybe 80 to 100, I was like, the game's okay. At hour like 120, I'm like, yo, like second wind, I'm going, I'm like plowing through. So I'm having the best time, but that's all. I'm like, wake up in the morning, eat some breakfast, get out there, game the rest of the day. Also, if you hear clicking, Alex is here.
Hi.
And he's playing video games. Duh. So, that's where I've been. I have a couple of tales, very uplifting, joyous, happy tales to tell you. Just kidding. I'm dying. Never mind. I'm actually not dying because it's not really rude. That's not nice to say. But, like, I'm terrified. That's a better way to put it. I'm terrified and I feel like I'm dying, but I am not actually dying, I don't think. Somebody that I met in my acting school has partnered up with some legit humans and they are making a television show. And I was asked to audition for it. I auditioned for it and I made the callback rounds. So I am flying to Florida for the callback audition. And I'm super excited. The character's awesome. The show is going to be really cool. I'm amped. It's going to be wonderful. But I'm afraid of cars and planes, traveling, going places, doing things. I'm freaking out, guys. I've been freaking out for days. No, not days. Like, since I bought the ticket, I've been panicking. I've been counting down the hours until my flight. Because okay, here's the things that are going through my mind. You're going to forget something and be like, oh man, I forgot that. Crap, I really needed it. Oh, dang it. That feeling. 2, I'm going to get lost in the airport and never leave or just get yelled at. I'm going to do something wrong and security's going to like probe my internals. And that's a scary one. I'm going to somehow get like kicked off the flight. There's that guy that got beat up by United Airlines. Like, I'm afraid that I will be the next one that gets beat up. Of course, I am afraid of the plane exploding, of terrorists attacking me. Like, really afraid. Last night, we got into bed at like 1 a.m. because we were playing A Legend of Zelda. And Alex took off today, the day before my flight, to help me not be going insane. Like, this is how good he is and also how insane I am. Like, he took off the whole day today to help me mentally prepare for my flight tomorrow. Yes, I know. Blessed be. He's amazing. So last night, I'm crying in bed. Like, crying and crying. Because I'm envisioning my last moments on a plane plummeting groundward, okay? So I was imagining like people screaming, the pilot like, we're going down, this is your last moments on Earth. I'm like, ah! So I'm like imagining that like in vivid detail, that whole scenario. And like imagining like the last message, like what would I do? Would I just be like, would I try and like zen out and like, yeah, right? Like I can't even meditate in the pure nature of the wild. Like I wouldn't be able to meditate. We all know that. I need to drink. Hold on. This is kombucha. I made it homemade. Do you notice how I always have drinks in my videos? I love beverages. I have 2 cups on it. Yes, I love beverages. So I'm imagining this death scenario and imagining what my last moments would be. And I'm like writing out my last text to Alex. I was like, should I just say like, I love you? No. Should I say like, you are amazing? Should I tell him like to never forget me, but move on? Like I was planning this out and then I'm like, but I'm not ready to say goodbye. So I'm crying. I might be crying now. So I'm crying because I'm so afraid of dying in a fiery blast. So Alex has talked to me like 10 conversations, like, you won't die, you will be okay. But I'm like, I need to talk to my friends online. Someone tell me that I'm not going to die. My flight's at 6, I'm starting to cry. My flight's at 6 a.m. Fuck. So I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of the whole flight. And then, you know, when I'm there, I'm happy because my parents, their new house was built. So they bought a double-wide trailer on their 5-acre property. They're starting a family commune, which is the coolest thing. So I get to see that. Get to see my niece and nephew. I'm hanging out with one of my best friends in the whole world and my cousin by law, Alex's cousin Emily, who's like my one of my BFFs. So I'm get to hang out with her, and then I have an audition, and I get to see one of my buds from acting school. So like it's gonna be great. if I make it there in one piece. So that's, you know, I'm panicking. Thank you. I hope that I do. I hope that I do. Because I have anxiety, so I can't think of like, people are usually okay. What I think of is like, yeah, everyone's okay until they're not. You're always the one that survives until you're the one that dies in the blast. I need to not think these things, because every time I've flown before, my first flight ever, I was 17 years old, and my parents had just moved to Florida after I graduated, and I was flying to Pennsylvania to stay with my grandmother before going to school at the University of Delaware. And I flew by myself, and my dad sent me this email, and he was like, it was titled "Leaving the Nest," like the day before, or maybe it was like the day I got there. So it was like super emotional, and like when they dropped me off at the airport, I'm their oldest child, they were like crying, and so I was crying, but I did it, and I was only 17 and I went there, but I think they went the whole way to the gate with me, actually. Yeah, they did. So it wasn't as scary. But when I got there, I'm like sobbing, and there was this little German girl who was like flying home from Disney, or something like that. That's what I assumed. She had a Disney thing. And I was crying, and she was just like, would you like some chips? And she tried to offer me chips, and I was, no, thank you. Because I was crying so hard. But I did it, and I've flown by myself a couple other times. So, like, I know that I probably won't die. If you could feel my heart right now. If I put my microphone to my chest, could you hear it? Could you hear it? I'll listen and play back and see if you could hear my heart beating, because it's beating fast. So yes, hopefully you will hear from me. I get back in like 5 days. Hopefully you will hear from me, and I won't be a burnt crisp. But we can't be too sure. We cannot be too sure.